My name is Lydia, and I am not a liar. Thank you. I never ever have been. Even when I was a little kid, it never even occurred to me that people could lie. I grew up in the Mormon church where I learned that, God knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Right? Nobody gets away with that. So I have no idea why I lied to Vinny. This has been a secret my entire adult life. I had literally never told anyone until just very recently a few close family members. And then I figured while I was at it, I would just tell all of you as well. So Vinny was like a little pint-sized stereotype of the name Vinny. He wore an oversized baseball jacket, a baseball cap pretty much every day, and had these great glasses. And you need to realize this was in St. George, Utah, Mormonville. So our 4th grade class consisted of a whole bunch of blonde white kids, me, and Vinny. Vinny was being raised by his single mom, and they had a great relationship, and they shared a love of baseball. So he had all of these really neat baseball stats that he would always rattle off to me, trying to impress me, because he pretty much had a big crush on me. And although I didn't have language for it early on in my childhood, he was friend-zoned early on. But we were really great friends. We had this really great dynamic in our relationship where he would take care of me, you know? Like this little short Italian from New York. And he would just make sure that everything was okay in my world, right? So one day we're sitting on the playground, and he just says, hey, what's wrong? There was actually nothing wrong. I think at the time I had resting something's wrong face. And I just, because of the dynamic of our relationship, I kind of milked it, and I was like, oh, nothing. No, really, you can tell me, Lydia. And I looked Vinny deep in the eyes, and after a very long pause, I told him, Vinny, I'm a vampire. To this day, I have no idea why I lied to Vinny. And he bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And I totally owned it, because the rest of the day was spent in this glorious backstory of the vampire world, which was a very bad place, so I had to possess Lydia's body to get away from it. And if anyone ever found out my identity, I would be destroyed by the vampire world. But I knew that Vinny was the kind of friend that I could trust, and that was the only part that is true of that statement. So he went right to work, being super, super protective of me. He set out to protect my identity from ever being revealed, and protect me from the sun. Because, I could die. So the next few weeks were spent with Vinny plotting out shady places for me to walk. And when it was a little too treacherous and too sunny, he would shield me with his big baseball jacket to make sure that I got there okay. And you guys, I had no idea how to get out of this. I had never told a lie, so getting out of it was, I had zero skill set, okay? And I had no idea how I knew all this stuff. I knew a surprising amount of vampire facts for a 9-year-old girl in the 90s. And this was before vampires were in fleek. I used that wrong, didn't I? I'm still learning. So the thought of Vinny being feeling like he was hurt, I couldn't tell him that I had lied to him. He was this sweet little kid that had just dedicated his life to preserving mine, and I just couldn't bear the thought of him being hurt. And then one day, it came to me. If you can get possessed by a vampire, you can get unpossessed. Of course! So one day, in a shady spot, of course, we were just playing and talking, and I explained to Vinny that it was time. It was time for me to go back to the vampire world. And I appreciated all his service to my life. But I was saying goodbye. And then I did the, the getting unpossessed face, in case you didn't know what that was. And after a brief moment of disorientation, I jumped out into the sun just to show how un-vampire I was. And I thought that was it. I thought that I had fixed my world. But it didn't last for long. Vinny was really missing his vampire friend. He would get these really melancholy looks on his face, and then I was the one asking him, Vinny, what's wrong? And he would just say, oh, nothing. He would stare off into the distance, obviously thinking of fun in the shade with his vampire friend. I really should have left it there. I should have stopped it and just let it go. But if you can get possessed by a vampire, and if you can get unpossessed by a vampire, logic would say that you can get repossessed by a vampire. He knew right away. He was so happy to have his vampire friend back. So I was just getting possessed and unpossessed, kind of like at my own convenience, and trying to keep track of every day if I could go in the sun or not. And it was all getting very difficult, and now I really didn't know how to get out of this. And then it was over. We moved. In the middle of the school year, I didn't say goodbye to one person, not even my sweet Vinny. Years later, I ran into somebody from my 4th grade class, and the first thing that I asked was, whatever happened to Vinny? Remember him, my friend? Apparently, his mom had gotten remarried to a semi-pro baseball player, and he pretty much had his dream dad. And I felt like it was so good that the universe was just like making up for the web of lies that I put him through. But mostly, I was just really happy to hear a good thing happen to a good person, the kind of friend that would keep his vampire friend safe.